and to see a pattern.
This is the worst fucking game I've ever played.
Forsaken is a blight on this platform, and serves as the cause of the current landscape of ASIM games on Roblox. If
What?
something is synonymous with the term, it was more than likely inspired by this hog shit. I need to make it clear, I am heavily biased. I hate this game. This video is entirely my own opinion, but before we continue, I feel the need to reiterate that. My words are my own. My opinion is my own. And my own opinion is that I fucking despise this game.
Just because it's your opinion doesn't mean you can roast the entire genre of ASIM games. That's not an excuse to make this video.
The gameplay loop is just Dead by Daylight, but worse.
What? Here's the thing. There's no mandatory objective. There's no way to just easily win or lose as any role, because there is a way shorter time limit than Dead by Daylight.
Map has around 5 generators for you to complete, featuring a recreation of the iconic Flow Free app. The issue is, doing it doesn't matter. If you go out of your way to do the objective, it doesn't unlock a win condition. The only reason there would or should be a goal in a game like Forsaken. Completing a task on a generator lowers the time of the round by a small amount, give or take a few seconds. And that's fine, I guess. Dead by
You said there was no objective, but then at the end, why are we gassing up you versus Homer? What?
Daylight still does it better, but it's better than nothing. It still doesn't give you a way to escape, but it lets you play the game for less time. But it's only fine in concept. In practice, it doesn't do much when the killer adds time back to the round by doing their job and killing everyone. The objective technically does something, but within the game, it's utterly pointless. The generators are an illusion of a goal, and due to it being a mirage, most people don't bother engaging with the system in any way. I wish I liked these.
Okay. Even if it didn't do anything, like, at least, no, here's the thing. The reason killers get time is so that they're not instantly losing every single game once every gen is done. Gens are just there to make sure not as many people die, if any.
Pointless. The generators are an illusion of a goal, and due to it being a mirage, most people don't bother engaging with the system in any way. Instead, their time is spent infinitely looping the killer or doing TikTok dances in the corner of the map. Forsaken's identity is very disjointed. It's trying to be its own thing, yet relies on old Roblox as the base for everything gameplay-wise. The roster of this game is either based off of old Roblox properties or are my awesome cool OC that everyone loves. Said OCs just happen to have more complicated movesets or are fucking terrible to play against. In the same cast, you have characters like Shedletsky, who has access to a sword with a very small hitbox, and Chicken that can be used twice that heals up to 40 HP.
And yet he is the most consistent Sentinel that I've ever seen and or played. So.
Or Elliot, who has a pizza and a speed boost. But then you have characters like Two Time, who has a dagger that can stun from behind, with a shorter cooldown than Shedletsky, and an extra 0.5 seconds of stun, a crouch that lets you become undetectable and turns you transparent for 10 seconds, which lets you use a dash with your dagger, and a second life that lets you set your spawn point at the beginning of the round. To make up for it, they're balanced by having only 80 health. But actually, who gives a fuck about balancing because you get 20 health back by hitting a backstab? Keep in mind, Elliot has the same amount of health and is actively a detriment to both the player and the team they are a part of.
And yet they heal every survivor, and if they're good enough at the game, they can survive the whole round. So, I don't know where you're getting the whole detriment thing from, but okay, you do you, I guess, but please never do it again.
There is power creep in Forsaken. The designs of certain characters were changed in an attempt to make them more unique or scarier, but in practice look like they were drawn by a 12-year-old on Tumblr. These are supposed to be the same character.
If it's meant to be a horror game, they're gonna have to adapt to at least make it somewhat like it. It is no longer a horror game, that I can definitely see, but just cause they look way different does not mean that the whole look of the game is bad.
The maps are references to older Roblox games, save for 2, and those 2 just happen to be some of the worst maps in the game. It's pretty cool that everything original tends to either fall flat or be busted beyond recognition. Really neat stuff there. It's fine though, because you don't play Forsaken because you like the game. You don't play it because the gameplay is good. You play it because you have an unhealthy infatuation with real people.
90% of the community has been disagreeing with that since the fandom started doing this.
There's a cognitive dissonance the Forsaken community has when it comes to specific characters. Shedletsky is a character in the game, but he's based off of a real person. The Roblox user, John Shedletsky, has an avatar directly based off of himself. It's an avatar, sure, but it's still meant to be him. It's not an OC, it's a persona. It's the guy John Shedletsky in Roblox. But you know, don't tell that to the people drawing him as a 400-pound chicken. Don't ruin their fun. They aren't harming anyone after all. Forsaken is...
Those first 2 were just people having fun. That last person, I don't know what they were doing, but those first 2 were just having fun with their art skills. Like, oh my.
heavily monetized. During the Halloween event, there was a killer that would take you multiple weeks to unlock using the in-game currency. But if you were to spend real-world money to skip the grind, it would cost a minimum of 60 USD. I find that atrocious, especially when the killer was brought to the base shop less than a month later. The killer, mind you, being incredibly broken. Kirk genuinely Nosferatu is the first pay-to-win ASIM killer. There is also an enormous amount of skins, most of which being references to pre-existing media. It's designed so if the player recognizes something they like, they will be more inclined to either continue playing or to spend money. They recognize their favorite character, and they want to show their appreciation for their special interest. There's nothing inherently wrong with cosmetics. You're allowed to make money off of your product. I just wish the customization wasn't lazy. I wish it was unique, instead of feeding into the pre-existent love of their players. Forsaken is one of the worst things I have ever played. I hate the gameplay. I hate the fandom. I hate the developers. I hate everything Forsaken stands for.
And we all hate you. So, you know, that's kind of your fault.
Outcome Memories would have been here, but I refuse to play it again. I was right, the game is dead and it's never coming back. I am never wrong about anything.
Oh, that line. That is so very wrong. Let me just show you.
What do you even say about Pillar Chase 2? I'm being serious. What do you say about this game?
It's an actual horror game compared to most other ASIM games.
It was the blueprint for a majority of today's asymmetrical horror games, which isn't a good thing. If the base isn't good, what comes after won't be any better. Pillar Chase 2 is either absurd bullshit or abysmal dog shit with no in-between. It's heavily killer-sided. The fun of the game comes from being a big, strong monster that can do as it pleases, ripping people apart for its own enjoyment. But you could also be Valem. Don't be Valem. To be a...
No, you are right about that. Valem is absolutely abysmal.
As blunt as possible, people like Pillar Chase 2 because they get to play as a character they like and have a power trip. That's it. There's no skill required.
Why are you
As a character they like and have a power trip. That's it. There's no...
You have level 1 on 5 characters and level 2 on Valem for some random reason. But you have level 1 on pretty much every character you have unlocked. You have level 1. 1. You should not be making a video on this if you have barely played.
Skill required. If you're playing one of the good killers, just spam abilities until you win. And if you play a character like Valem, you go to hell before you die. I don't think actual fans of the Survivor gameplay exist. I refuse to believe otherwise. The game makes you feel like a protagonist in a horror movie, but much like a typical slasher film, unless the plot demands it, you won't stand a chance. The only real way to survive a round is by sitting in the corner of a map and doing nothing. But even then, it probably won't work, because most of the killers have an indicator that lets them see you from across the map. And
every Ace game has some form of an indicator. That doesn't make this game more unbalanced or more killer-sided, as he will say later, but all it does is it just makes the game more balanced for each side by taking away one of the killer's ability slots for the indicator ability.
With the hitboxes pretty much being non-existent. If you get into a chase, don't bother trying to loot the killer. You will die no matter what. Survivors are given abilities you can buy, so there's technically something you can do even if you aren't the killer, but in practice it doesn't matter because the end is always the same. The game is simply not fun if you're not the broken character of the round.
And then of course, skill issue much. You saw him coming, you knew he was going after you, and then you died in 5 seconds because you were the most unaware person anybody has ever seen.
I still don't know what happened. The models look nice. Objectively, the game has polish to it, but correct me if I'm wrong in believing that Pillar Chase 2 just looks like a shitty Unity project.
Somebody correct him, please. I don't wanna... This is too much cringe to watch.
I feel like I could find various Fusion Z Gamer uploads of this game made in 2018 connected to a dead GameJolt account. It has that specific vibe to it. Objectives exist as an avenue to give you coins so you can buy different killers, and that's it. Most of the tasks, mind you, featuring the unique gameplay feature of either clicking something or holding E for a few seconds.
Some of the tasks require you to do something besides that. So, I think you're just simplifying it to where it sounds bad. Like, at least put some work into the video.
It's the most mind-numbing shit possible. The coins you get per task are pitiful. It's a manufactured grind made to unlock the only fun part of the game. I feel like people only like this game for one of two reasons. Either A, an appreciation for it being one of the first. It was the blueprint. Everything that came after can look to this as a source for why it exists. You do have to give it its flowers for doing something most people weren't. Or B, they have the funds to guarantee their spy is a killer. I mean, why else would they be redesigning 3 of the killers to avoid copyright? It surely has nothing to do with the constant stream of revenue they are receiving by making an unbalanced mess and 40 trillion skins of every recognizable entity and also queso.
I don't even know what to say about that.
Doom by Fate. Doom by Fate. I have to be honest, man, I have no idea what the fuck this is. Before I played it, I didn't understand what it was supposed to be, and after playing it, I still don't understand what it's supposed to be. The gameplay is the idea of content. Things happen, but none of it feels real. It's the first Dream-type game in the sense that both during and after a round, I don't understand what's going on. Doom by Fate's identity is directly tied to old Roblox, despite looking nothing like it, minus the characters and the fucking stud textures everywhere. But that's not it. It's also tied to the winner for the most milked IP in any game ever, Limbus Company. Another epidemic that can be traced back to the machinations of Soul-Driven Love, I Am a Groomer that is still being paid by the dev team Forsaken, is the rampant references to Project Moon in every game they have ever made. I am a fan of Limbus Company, but personally I don't understand why it's referenced this much. Forsaken itself has multiple skins related to Limbus. There's an NPC in the lobby that's just Roland from Library of Ruina. It's led to people knowing about Project Moon, but only in relation to Forsaken, not as its own idea. Doom by Fate goes even further by making the entire game's identity directly tied to Limbus Company. Just like before, there are skins, but there's also maps that are straight up just locations from Project Moon. The HUD and UI elements are the same. There are memes and references to Limbus littered throughout the spawn. It's a mess. It's melding two ideas together that were never meant to and don't mesh well for the sake of popularity. It's the POW world of Roblox. The game as a whole feels very rushed, which I don't understand how that could happen, considering it's a free game for child age 2 or some. The gameplay is the exact same as Forsaken, but faster, and with even less of a reason to do the objective. The game is supposed to be focused on directly fighting the killer, but because of the speed at play, the hitboxes feel non-existent. I've had moments where I've been out of a hitbox and still hit, or I blocked an attack only to still take damage. The speed makes it feel like there's more going on, but at the cost of functional gameplay. I do think the abilities survivors have are really cool. I like how everyone has their own place with subcategories in each spot. Bacon Hair is self-sufficient. He has a quick stun, a heal, and a recon tool. Jane Doe is a healer with a stun if needed. Soldier has an infinite block if you can hit it properly, and a shotgun. The Jester is a zoner that slows the killer with their traps. Despite the quality of the game, it's unique. Which is what I thought until I found out the shotgun is the exact same as a weapon in a different game, and the Jester's abilities are an exact one-to-one of a killer from Die of Death. The one thing I can compliment this game on is taken from somewhere else. I keep comparing Doom by Fate to Forsaken because its core identity is the same game. It's slightly different, but at its core they are identical. The game is currently in very early alpha, but as the game currently is, I don't believe future updates will make this game not shit.
The question is, how long have you played? If it's only for like a few minutes, you have no right in making that opinion. If you've played for like a few hours, you still have no right, because as I am making this video and as I'm recording this, a new killer already has been added, and yes, it may be a little unbalanced, but remember, the game is in early alpha, so we can't really be too mad at the developers.
I have nothing to say about Pwned by 14-0. I'm not joking. This game is boring as fuck. The only reason I have it in the script is so this video shows up when you search for the game. It's the exact same as everything else, but you can jump. I lied about the definition of retroslop in the previous video. This is retroslop. It doesn't have a unique art style. It's just using old Roblox as a veneer of quality.
Do you know what retroslop means? Retroslop is trying to be retro, but having way too many accessories so that it would pretty much make you want to vomit once you see it. It gives you motion sickness somehow.
There's not even anything negative I can say about the gameplay. There's nothing here. Same abilities, same concept, same shitty hitboxes. It's an ASIM on Roblox with survivors and a killer, and it's so retro.
For the hitboxes, do we expect hitboxes to be good? 90% of them that I have seen are not good whatsoever. Not in Forsaken, not in Die of Death, not in Breaking and Steel Things, not in even Doom by Fate. No hitboxes on Roblox are actually good if it's an ASIM game. So that's kind of an invalid point.
Breaking and Steal Things is a game with all style and no gameplay. That doesn't mean its art direction is good, but it's better than most. It has a style and it sticks to it. The UI elements are reminiscent of old Roblox and function like they should. And personally, I adore that the game is in 4:3. I'm a sucker for aspect ratios. My issue with this game is that there is no game. Bias is centered around following a set of instructions to collect a random artifact on the map. Once the artifact is collected, the round shortens to 2 minutes and you win. Even if you lose, you win, because you still completed the objective. And that's it. You find the item, collect the item, and wait for the round to end. The issue is, this game isn't meant to be a stealth game where you successfully extract a national treasure. It's meant to be another asymmetrical horror game. So, there's a killer, but it doesn't play like an ASIM, so it makes the killer feel like it's here out of obligation, not because it's a horror game.
The killers are meant to be hard to beat, so just getting the artifact is enough to where you've pretty much won, considering that most people, even experienced players, will die pretty quickly to any killer.
Makes its identity skewed. Also, I'm lying, the game doesn't stick to its style. It follows the tried and true. Add emotes referencing anything popular from the last 10 years, despite the fact the game is based on a version of Roblox in the early 2000s blueprint that everyone does for some reason. This game isn't the first to do it, but it's still a part of the problem. Instead of having...
If it wants to be relevant, let it be relevant. You can't keep criticizing games just because they're trying to stay relevant to the genre of ASIM games.
survivors with different abilities. Bias gives everyone the same moveset, but places random items around the map that do different things. One person can find a bottle of Bloxade that gives them a speed boost for a short time, while another can find a shotgun that can be used to periodically stun the killer. It makes every round have an element of randomness, where people have to scrounge around for resources, while both retrieving the artifact and avoiding the killer. But this only works in concept if there are people present. Biased only works as a game if there are a large amount of people playing. There's only one objective, so if there aren't people around to distract the killer, they can just stand on the artifact and win the game by default, which makes this game very, very boring because of how long they made the rounds. If you do complete the objective, there's nothing for you to do for 2 minutes. If you die, you end up waiting in the lobby for 10 minutes doing emotes until the round ends. I want to like this game, but there is no game for me to like. The base is present and something could be made from the scraps, but in trying to make Bias another asymmetrical horror game, it becomes a game that is as mechanically in-depth as there is nothing.
I don't even know what to say. What do you mean that there's no game? Yes, the entire goal is to get the artifact, and then once you've done that, you can't do anything. But wait, you can't do anything? What do you mean? Because even if you can't do anything, you can still at least run away from the killer, stun the killer. There is so much you can do, and you're just pretty much pretending that none of that exists.
Die of Death is an odd one. The first time I played it, I didn't like it, and thought it was rather awful.
That's my thoughts with this video.
Currently, I don't believe that. The game is pretty alright, but only in comparison to everything else. As a base, it's rather dull. There's no objective. There's nothing for you to do to give you the idea of a goal. You run around, find the killer, run away or fight, then die or win. The end. There's nothing else to it. The thing that makes it unique is instead of pre-assigned abilities, the game has a random deck mechanic before every round that gives you—
Wait, just start the game, find the killer, run away or fight, and then die or live? That is every ASIM game. It doesn't matter if it's BIAST, Doomed by Fate, even Outcome Memories. They are all the same. Fight or run, and then die or live. It's the same thing. That doesn't mean that this game specifically is the one that pioneered this. It was, in fact, not even the first ASIM game. Yes, Pillar Chase may have been the base for most of the games, but that does not mean that it is a bad base just because all ASIM games are bad. And at least in your opinion, which still the opinion excuse does not work here if you're roasting a bunch of ASIM games in 23 minutes.
2 random abilities for that match. It makes the game function almost like a roguelike. You don't know how the abilities work until you pick out a kit, so you end up spending the first hour or so trying out new abilities until you find a few you prefer over the rest. And the next time you play, you can look for a specific build instead of randomly guessing. I think that's very unique. It's a wonderful addition to an otherwise boring gameplay loop. I don't believe Die of Death has an identity of its own. In comparison to Biased, if I showed you these 2 games side by side in the same aspect ratio, would you know that they are 2 different games by different people, or the same game at different points of development? They're both so retro. They are both asymmetrical horror games with big quotation marks around horror. The same gameplay loop, the exact same death screen. The only difference is one has an objective to complete and random items around the map, and the other is a roguelike with no purpose. When you take away the one unique thing they have, they are pretty much the same game. It's a burger with different condiments. No matter what you drench it in, it's still meat on a bun. This stretches across everything I've talked about so far, but you've already caught on to that by now. All of these—
You're comparing ASIM games to burgers, and I feel like most people have already heard this rant, but I'm gonna keep it going just to be safe.
Games play the same, and I find that disappointing. I guess that comes with these games being ASIMs, but they don't have to be, you know? You don't have to make the same game every time. But people do, and people will continue to, because no matter the quality, there will always be someone to gobble up the slop. Die of Death disappoints me, because it tries to be unique, but it doesn't commit to anything. It has elements of a roguelike, but it's still just another asymmetrical horror game. It falls under the retro aesthetic, but it feels like it's just slapped on, rather than it being an intentional design choice. This game could be good, but it's not. At least to me. I know people like this game. I know people like all of these games, but I'm someone who's critical about the media I consume. I can't blindly enjoy something when its insecurities are staring me red in the face. A lot of the time in the description, these games say they were not meant to be taken seriously, or were made as a joke. And that's fine, you can make something a joke, but you still made a game. You made a game that's available to the public, so it's allowed to be criticized. If a joke isn't funny, you don't laugh. Die of Death in specific was supposedly made for fun to mock the current asymmetrical scenario, but it does the exact shit it's supposedly making fun of. There's a map mocking Forsaken, but the two of them still function the same. You can't mock a system while acting as a part of the same system. At that point, it's just self-deprecation for the sake of it. Die of Death is the same as everything that came before it, just 10% more irony poisoned. This video is very negative. I don't want to be mean, but I have to. I don't like these games, but I wish I did.
You don't have to make this video. You never had to. You could have just gone on with your day instead of sitting down, recording this, and then posting it. Because one of the comments on the original video, because this is a re-upload, says, and then he hit post. I don't know why he did. There was no reason to. It's like, oh, I have to be mean. No, you don't. Keep it to yourself.
When I see these games, I see their flaws. I see a bare-bones mock-up designed for profit. They try to be asymmetrical horror games, but fundamentally do not understand what makes a game like this work. There's no real objective. There is no end goal. It's the idea.
You say they have no idea how to make these games, or at least make them good. But do you know? Because you're making this video instead of actually figuring that out on your own, which would take way less time than this video itself.
Idea of a game with no substance. These developers are copying off of each other's homework and changing nothing, but all of them have a different professor, so they get away with it scot-free. I made a separate video on Dandy's World because objectively, it does this concept better than anything in this video, and it's not even an ASIN. I can play Dandy's World for hours on end and not get bored, but I have to force myself to engage with these games in order to have enough footage to write down notes. I wish I liked these games, but I don't. Out of everything available, there is only one ASIN that I genuinely like. This game doesn't take itself seriously. This game isn't meant to be good. This game is a joke, and it's been a joke since the beginning. That game is You vs. Homer.
If this is meant to be a joke, and so is Die of Death, why are you complimenting this, and then still criticizing, even if it's partially, you're still criticizing Die of Death, even though this is the exact same thing?
This is the night mail crossing the border, bringing the check of the postal order.
You vs. Homer is an anti-game. Objectively, the game sucks, but there's something about it that wraps it back around to being like an avant-garde art piece. There's an active cult of personality around this game. Fan art and animation too high effort for its source can be found fucking everywhere you look. There's over 20,000 people playing this game at any given time, and more showing up by the day. There is no reason why You vs. Homer should be as popular as it is. The entire gameplay loop is just one big game of hide and seek. One person is the Homer, the rest are the Barts. The Homer must kill the Barts. The Barts must hide and avoid the Homer. That's it. Either the Barts win forever, or the Homer sends the Bart to Duff Hell. It feels like a game purposely designed to be as terrible as possible, and it works because of it. The maps are made up of pre-existing media. None of the assets have any animations. The inventory is full of free gears. The game was made with the least effort possible.
The maps are made of pre-existing media. So is Forsaken. Yes, 2 maps are not, but everything else is, and you're still criticizing them.
possible, and it's only good because it's dog shit. It's the platonic ideal of an ASIM. There are no gimmicks. There is no objective. The game looks fucking terrible. It actively rewards you for engaging with as little of the game as possible. It does what everything else in this genre devolves into, but it was designed to be like this from the beginning. And despite that, people act like this game is high art. There's an entire game dedicated to practicing wall hopping for a single map. Objectively, it does this formula better than anything else, and that scares me. That's it. That's everything I want to say. I made this video so I can talk shit. Everything I said is my actual opinion. There's no hyperbole. I'm being serious. I hate video games and everyone who makes them.
You hate good video games, and then you're liking You versus Homer. You're contradicting yourself. 30 seconds after you said that you liked, after ending the whole you liking You versus Homer section. You're confusing everybody at this point. Like, I don't know what we're doing here. It hurts. It's like, please, get your stuff together, and maybe, just maybe, people might agree with you, but it's a very low bar. There is a very low chance you actually get anybody on your side. So, yeah, that's kind of your fault.